Let's see if I can keep a good posture for the rest of the video. Hey guys, it's Christina. Welcome back. As you saw by today's video, we're doing my February and March reading wrap up because in February we read a good amount of books and I didn't get around to doing the wrap up video, and in March I only read 2 books. So I think in total there's a total of 13 books, which 11 books in February is already insane. But I'm going to pull up my Notion and we're going to start talking about the books. So obviously we're going to start with the books I read in February, and we started off super strong. I read Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer and I rated that at 4.75 stars. And you guys, I absolutely loved this book. I ate it up. I'm not usually a marriage and convenience girly. I mean, I do like it, but it's not something I gravitate towards. But this book, the fact that it was almost a 5 stars, it just didn't give me that 5-star feeling. Insane. It was so good. I'm so happy with every single Stephanie Archer book I read. I feel like every single one just gets better and better and better and better. There's going to be a spin-off of the Vancouver Storm series, so I'm really excited about that, but we're going to talk about that another time. This book follows Alexi and Georgia, who are in a marriage of convenience / it's an enemies to lovers. Basically, she needs to get married so she can get this inheritance because her grandfather was like a raging like misogynist, sexist, whatever, and he needs to get married so he doesn't get deported back to Russia. So they get married, they fake being married, and they basically like, you know, whatever, fall in love and whatever. And I just really loved seeing the progression of them really not liking each other to progressively falling in love, and you generally do see that change, and it's just like I really did love seeing that. After that, I read In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams, which congrats to me because that means I finished another series. But I read In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams and it was a 3.75. This book was really good. I really had such a fun time reading it. I feel like it's a perfect conclusion to the series. I also think James, a man who yearns is a man who earns. I'm just gonna say that. But I did have a few things that I didn't agree with, like the ending. I feel like the third act problem, I guess, was just a little bit like an unnecessary. It could have been done in a different way. But this book follows James and Madison, who Madison is the last of the siblings in the Run and Rome series. It follows 3 sisters and 1 brother, and she's the last one, and she's supposed to be this super like she went to New York to go to culinary school, and she is kind of pretty lost when she graduates, and James offers her to work at his restaurant that he's building on his farm back home. So she's like, good, I can come back home, but I'm not gonna be jobless, so people are not gonna be disappointed in me. And they've already were friends. He's her older brother's best friend, so it's kind of forbidden and it's kind of forced proximity because she does end up working for him, and it was just like really cute. And yeah, but like I said, it was the ending that was like, did it have to occur like this for it to still be like a dressing? I don't know if that makes anything sense. I hope it does. Caffeine break. Then the next book I read finished yet another series, and I read The Wild Card by Stephanie Archer. I did say that each book gets better and better and better. This was a little bit lower rating. I rated The Wild Card of 4.5 stars. Honestly, I just think I like Gloves Off a lot more, and not a lot more, but I do think I liked it more. But The Wild Card, I love me a coach / whoever romance. So it was Tate and Jordan, Tate Ward is the coach for the Vancouver Storm, and Jordan is the daughter of the owner of the team. And basically her dad is like, I'm gonna sell the team unless y'all win the Stanley Cup and Jordan decides to own the team. And so it's kind of a forced proximity because Jordan has to end up working with Tate, and it is kind of like an age gap / forced proximity / dislike to love. And I just want to say, Tate firing men that disrespect Jordan Ward, Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. He is also a single father, and I really enjoyed seeing his relationship with his daughter. And I love the way the daughter was portrayed. I don't like it when they infantilize children in the way that, like, if the child is 9 years old, make it out like a 9-year-old child. They can talk, they can form sentences, make sure that happens. And I believe the daughter was like, I don't know, maybe 13 or 12, I don't know. She acted perfect for her age, and I love Jordan's relationship with Tate's daughter, and it was just really cute. I really liked it, and it was a perfect ending to the series. I love the found family in this series, and like I said, there's gonna be a spin-off, there's gonna be a second generation, and you guys know I'm gonna be the first in line. Then I did a reading vlog on this like 6-book novella series, and it follows like it includes a bunch of different authors, some of them really popular like Hannah Boehm Young and Christina Lauren. I'm not gonna get into every single little novella because you guys, they were like at max 100 pages, if that. So I'm gonna talk about the ones I did like because there's a few I could rant on and on about. So the first one I really did enjoy. I didn't rate any of these, by the way. I didn't rate any of these above 3 stars because they're novellas. I don't think I can rate them any higher unless it's a really, really good novella. Like, I think it's Fearful by Lauren Roberts. That one was really good. That's usually the standard for me. No more than 3 stars. But the first book I read was Accidentally Yours by Christina Lauren, and this was really cute. I'm just gonna read what I wrote on here because since these are novellas, I don't really remember much. But I said, I enjoyed every single second, so bantery, and I love how quick it was without missing any elements or feeling rushed. Jude and Veronica were so cute. Now that I remember correctly, she accidentally crashes his Zoom meeting. She was supposed to have an interview, and she ends up going like off on them on their marketing strategy, saying how it was basically dog shit. And he's kind of like, he likes her because of that, so that was really cute. Then I read Time Will Tell by Hannah Boehm Young. And this one, oh my god, actually this one, I wish it was a full-length novel. But basically, our main character, do we have her names? We don't have her name, we have his name. But she finds out that her grandmother died, and in her like letter to her granddaughter, she's like, hey honey, actually I'm gay, and I was in a relationship with this woman who ended up moving to England. So, and they need to do something about finding a box with belongings or whatever, but the key, her grandmother's girlfriend took it to the UK, so they need to somehow get the key, right? So she writes a letter to her grandmother's girlfriend's grandson. And a little romance sparks from that, and I love the concept of reconnecting of old tiny stories like the grandmothers. Like, I would love to see their grandmothers together. I would have also loved, of course, We Love a British Man, so that obviously at a point, and I just thought it was so cute. I really, really did like this one. This was also 3 stars. And then the next one I'm gonna talk about, I'm only gonna include one more from out of the, like, I'm gonna talk about 3. Then the next one is A Play for Love by Trilina Pucci. I believe she's the author of Lights On, if I'm correct. I don't remember much about this one, but I rated 2.75. And basically I said this was so cute and entertaining. There was a few comments here and there that was like, but super enjoyable, and I love that New York City setting. I don't recall what this was about, like, at all. Yeah, take that as you will. It was a super cute, like, 6-book novella series, like, nothing too crazy, nothing, like, world altering, but it was really fun. It was perfect for Valentine's Day. And then we finished yet another series. Like, seriously, like, round of applause for me. I read Rewinded Back by Liz Tomforty. I'm still not sure between a 4.5 and a 5 stars. I know Rio's not everybody's favorite, but he was seriously my favorite. I love Best Friends to Lovers. I love Second Chance. So it follows Rio and Hallie. And Rio and Hallie grew up together-ish, like, that night when they were preteens. And they ended up dating, and right before he leaves for the NHL, they end up breaking up. Like, maybe about 10 years later or 8 years later, I'm not really sure. They end up seeing each other again because she ends up moving next to his house in Chicago. She's an interior designer, and like I said, he's an NHL player. He plays with Sanders, and he needs somebody to redecorate his house before he probably decides to move out. And who's gonna be that interior designer? Hallie. And in the beginning, they don't really get along, but they kind of end up, you know what, communicating. And they kind of work things out, and they kind of start being friends again, and they kind of start being lovers again. It was just lovers. Ugh, can't even talk. It was just like a really cute love story, and I love seeing that, and I love seeing Rio finally get his happy ending, and just I love his relationship with Hallie and how much they really truly still know each other. And I love the way they communicated. They truly did communicate everything, and I think the reason for their falling out, for their breakup, was extremely valid. Yes, they could have communicated at the time, but think about it, they're teenagers. One of them is like, they're kind of both grieving because of reasons I cannot say. And like, again, they're 19 years old. They're probably not going to communicate about that. So I think it was very valid. If not, it was not an infuriating reason for them to like fall out. So I really did also like that. And I just wish I had more of Rio, honestly. I'm so excited to read in her own league, but I'm kind of sad to leave the world. So I'm kind of like putting that off. But I do gotta read it. I do gotta read it before Cardinal Rule comes out. And then lastly, for February, I read A First Time for Everything by Kayla Walther. And this was kind of disappointing. I rated this 3 stars. I still had a really fun time reading this. A First Time for Everything follows our main character, which I do not remember her name, so forgive me for that. Her brother gets engaged to his girlfriend, so now his fiance. And our main character and her parents, both her dads, they don't really like her brother's fiance because she's kind of like very closed off and she doesn't really include herself in the family activities. And she has this preconceived notion, I guess, is that the right word? She kind of like already made up her mind on her brother's fiance, but her brother's fiance asks our main character to be a bridesmaid, and so she has to do all the bridesmaid like duties. And the bridesmaids find out that our main character has never had a boyfriend, and they kind of turn this into a little bit of a bachelorette kind of thing where she goes on dates to find her date for the wedding, and she's kind of like in love with her best friend as well. But there's also this other guy, which doesn't really get addressed until the very end. There's many things I did not agree with this book. One, how our main character acted towards her brother's fiance, which in part I can understand, she's 17, but then I'm like, I wouldn't have acted like that when I was 17 at the same time, so that's why I had problems with it. And second, the love aspect, like the rom-com aspect in this YA, came so late. I feel like there was no build-up, like there was like a friendship build-up, but there was no build-up romantically in my opinion, and that would really put me off. But I still had a fun time reading the whole adventure part of her being this like bachelorette. It's just not my book, and I still had a fun time, but I had those critiques and that really put me off. I actually read 4 books in March, but we're only going to talk about 2 because the other 2 are university books, and y'all, I'm not going to talk about those because I actually don't want to talk about those. So March was a very slow reading month because I had, like I said, to read 2 university books for an exam I had, and your girl was just not in the mood. Like, she was concentrating on school, and I only read 2 books, which is fine. I read Play With Me by Becca Mack, and it is a brother's best friend / forced proximity / forbidden because her older brother like is so protective of her. And what turns out that Jenny and Garrett, our main characters, Jenny ends up moving into the building Garrett lives in because Carter, her older brother, buys her an apartment there, and he buys her an apartment there because he thinks, oh, Garrett is gonna look after her. That he did. Garrett was already crushing hard on Jenny, and Jenny always thought Garrett was cute, so they kind of sparked this like little friends with benefits situation, and it kind of turns into more, and Carter finds out, and it's a whole thing. But I just had such a fun time. I love Miyazaki romance. It is so fun. It's so entertaining, and this one truly touched on deeper topics, especially because Jenny and Carter lost their dad, and they're kind of battling with that still a little bit. You know, there's always lingering things. So it does touch on deeper topics. Also, Jenny kind of dealing with the fact that she's kind of in the shadow of her brother's fame. Like, her brother's this big NHL star, and she's her little sister, so there's things that come with it, and it's that whole it's also that her insecurities around that. So it is a deeper book in that sense too, which I really did enjoy. And I loved how Garrett was so reassuring, and so he was so constant, and I really did enjoy that. And I just think he was a really perfect like MMC overall. And then the last but not least book I read in March was Between the Pines by Amber Palmer. I found this on Kindle Unlimited. I was like, I need a fun, fast, spring-like book that, you know, gets me back into reading, and that it did. It is a cowboy romance. It is a 1 night, 5 night stand. Basically, our I forgot her name. I don't remember her name. So our main character, she finds out that her boyfriend at the time is cheating on her. Like, she literally finds them in the act. And she's like, I'm leaving. So she ends up driving up to Tennessee. She's actually from Texas. And she meets this bartender. And they end up having a 5-day getaway until she is a chicken shit and she runs back home. And then a year later, she has this perfect finance bro boyfriend, right? She's back working at her father's ranch. And guess who's hired to work at the ranch? You guessed it. And it's kind of basically like a forced proximity / second chance. And it was just a fun cowboy time. It was a fun cowboy time. There's not much more I can say. Although her boyfriend that she has, like the new boyfriend, sucks so much. I hate him. But yeah, it was just a fun cowboy time. And I'm reading the second one right now. I did also just finish a book for April, but I can't talk about it as much as I want to. You'll see that in the April wrap up. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye!